There comes a moment in every human life when the noise of the world grows so loud, so demanding, so overwhelming, that a person begins to forget the sound of their own soul, a moment when doubts become heavier than dreams. When the expectations of others start shaping the boundaries of your own mind, when the world quietly whispers you can't, and most people, good people, hard-working people, believe it, but there is another kind of person. A rare kind, someone who hears that same whisper and stands up straighter, someone who feels the same weight and pushes back harder, someone who refuses to accept the limits handed to them by circumstances, by family history, by society, by fear, or by the weak narratives of the people around them. These are the people who bend reality. These are the people who reshape the world. These are the people who prove again and again that self-belief is not just an attitude, it is a power that rebuilds broken destinies, a power that outperforms talent, a power that outlives failure, a power that sees possibility where others see impossibility, a power that pulls the invisible into the visible and the imagined into the real. And when you study the lives of the giants, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Lincoln, Disney, Jobs, you find a pattern so striking, so undeniable, that it echoes across centuries. They did not rise because the world believed in them. They rose because they believed in themselves long before anyone else did. Edison failed over 10,000 times before creating a working light bulb. 10,000 failures would break most people. 10,000 failures would convince most people that the dream isn't real. But Edison said something the world still hasn't forgotten. I have not failed. I have simply found 10,000 ways that do not work. What kind of mind says that? A mind built on relentless self-belief. Carnegie came from nothing. No wealth, no connections, no privilege. A poor immigrant boy working long hours in a cotton factory. But he carried within him a vision so clear, so unwavering, that even poverty couldn't silence it. And that vision, backed by a belief stronger than his limitations, transformed him into one of the wealthiest and most influential men of all time. Disney was fired from a newspaper for having no imagination. Imagine that. The man who built an empire of imagination was once told he had none. And yet he held on to his belief with a grip so tight that no rejection could loosen it. Ford was laughed at for imagining cars that ordinary people could afford. Impossible, they said, ridiculous, they insisted, and Ford simply replied, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. What was he talking about? Belief, your inner verdict, the invisible law that governs visible success. Every great life is built on this law, because here is the truth. The world does not give you what you want. The world gives you what you are convinced you deserve, and conviction is not born in comfort. It is forged in doubt, in resistance, in nights where nothing makes sense, and days where everything falls apart. Belief is tested in the storm. Strength is built in the fire. And there is a reason most people never experience the power of relentless self-belief. They stop believing the moment life stops being gentle. They stop believing the moment progress slows down. They stop believing the moment the applause stops. They stop believing the moment someone criticizes them, but belief is not a reaction to results. Belief is the cause of results. It is the foundation that every achievement stands on. It is the oxygen of vision. It is the heartbeat of discipline. It is the engine of persistence. It is the root of every extraordinary transformation. You do not build a life by doubting yourself through every challenge. You build a life by trusting yourself through every challenge. You build a life by whispering, I can, even when the world screams you can't. You build a life by choosing to rise one more time, every time. Because there is something inside you, buried beneath the hesitation, beneath the fear, beneath the wounds of your past. Something ancient, powerful, and unbreakable. A force that refuses to surrender. A force that knows exactly what you're capable of becoming. Self-belief is not about arrogance. It is not about pretending. It is not about ego. Self-belief is about remembering. Remembering who you are before the world taught you doubt. Remembering who you are before failure made you cautious. Remembering who you are before opinions made you small. It is about returning to your original strength, the strength you were born with, and once you remember that strength, once you reconnect with that inner certainty, something extraordinary happens. The world stops feeling like an obstacle and starts feeling like a material you can shape. Your circumstances stop controlling you. You begin controlling them. Your past stops defining you. Your vision begins rewriting it. You stop moving like a victim of life and start moving like the architect of it. Because belief does not just change your attitude. It changes your identity. It changes the way you think, the way you act, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. It changes the decisions you make, the chances you take, the habits you commit to, the dreams you dare to chase. It alters the chemistry of your mind, the rhythm of your energy, the language of your destiny. Belief is transformation in motion. When you believe deeply enough, your mind begins to search for possibilities instead of excuses. You start noticing opportunities that others walk past. You start hearing ideas that others tune out. You start trusting your own inner voice more than the noise outside. And once you reach that state, once your belief becomes more real to you than your doubt, you become unstoppable. Because here is a truth most never understand. Life mirrors what you hold inside. If you carry weakness, life reflects weakness. If you carry fear, life reflects fear. If you carry doubt, life reflects doubt. But if you carry belief, a deep, relentless, unwavering belief, life has no choice but to rearrange itself in your favor. Think of the greats again. Lincoln failed in business, lost elections, struggled through depression, and yet became one of the most influential leaders in human history. What carried him through the darkness wasn't talent, it was belief. A belief that his purpose was bigger than his pain, a belief that destiny responds to persistence, a belief that resilience is stronger than circumstance. Henry Ford was ridiculed for imagining a machine that could move people faster than horses. People said it was madness, fantasy, a waste of time. But Ford didn't measure his dreams by the size of people's understanding. He measured them by the size of his conviction. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school basketball team. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers. Every one of them had every reason to quit, but every one of them had something stronger than talent, relentless self-belief. And that belief pulled them through humiliation, through rejection, through failure, through nights of uncertainty and mornings of doubt. It carried them from not enough to more than enough, from you can't to watch me, from being underestimated to becoming unforgettable. So what about you? Your dreams are not random, your desires are not accidents, your vision is not a coincidence. Everything you want is connected to who you are meant to become. But you cannot become that person without believing in yourself at a level that feels unreasonable, almost unrealistic, almost impossible, because belief always looks unrealistic before it becomes obvious. The Wright brothers believing humans could fly was unrealistic. Tesla imagining wireless power was unrealistic. Carnegie daring to dominate an industry he didn't grow up in was unrealistic. Edison chasing a glowing filament through thousands of failures was unrealistic. Disney turning a mouse into an empire was unrealistic. Everything great was once unrealistic. So if your dream scares people, offends their logic, or makes them laugh, good. That means you're thinking on the right frequency. That means your vision is alive. That means your belief is waking up. But here's the real challenge, the one most people never overcome. Belief is not something you feel once. Belief is something you choose daily. You choose it when the results are slow. You choose it when progress is invisible. You choose it when your bank account doesn't match your vision. You choose it when people call you crazy. You choose it when you fail. You choose it again when you fail again. Consistency turns belief into reality. Because belief without action is just hope. Belief with action becomes power. When you combine relentless self-belief with relentless effort, you unlock a level of strength most people never reach. You begin to do things you once thought you couldn't. You begin to rise in moments you once thought would break you. You begin to create a life most people only dream about, and the world takes notice. Not because you got lucky, not because someone handed you an opportunity, not because you had advantages others didn't, but because you built your destiny from the inside out.